So, with that, let's get to those NFL rumors out there. Le'Veon Bell, a trade. Well, it sounds like he'll be back by week 7, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. He released an exclusive piece on Monday night detailing how Bell plans to return to the Steelers during their week 7 bye. Now, Adam Schefter noted that despite this news, the Steelers are still engaged in trade talks in regards to Le'Veon Bell. Now, without Bell, we know the Steelers have been, well, nothing short of a disaster. 1-2-1 record, a victory over Tampa Bay on Monday night, a couple of losses, one of them to the Baltimore Ravens at Heinz Field, and a tie in Week 1 against the Cleveland Browns. Bell has been giving up roughly $800,000 in weekly payouts to not report to the team, and that's important here because this is technically not a holdout, because Le'Veon Bell is not on the Pittsburgh Steelers' active roster. He's not holding out for anything at this point because he can't get any more money, because the deadline to get more money was July 16th, you may recall. So his option is to sign the franchise tender, play out the season on the $14 million that he has, or, I guess, sign the tender and then, let a trade happen. So you saw those next few games for the Steelers after that bye week. Carolina Panthers, not an easy one. The Baltimore Ravens as well. That's a 1 p.m. game. The Panthers, by the way, a Thursday night game, and then it's at Jacksonville on a Sunday night football matchup against a Jags team that is pretty darn good at beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the Steelers reportedly offered Bell $70 million over 5 years, but the amount of guaranteed money was the issue. That's why that deal never actually came to fruition. So obviously this is crucial for a Pittsburgh Steelers franchise that appears to be in disarray as we stand. We know Ben Roethlisberger loves drama, but now that Le'Veon Bell is involved, Mike Tomlin is involved, and Antonio Brown is involved. These are 4 core figures within the Steelers right now. Ben, of course, your quarterback. Le'Veon, of course, your running back. Antonio Brown, the best wide receiver in the league. And then Mike Tomlin, who's the head coach. And it sounds like there are issues going on right now with the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger, after his loss against the Baltimore Ravens, said that he's not on the same page with Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown, seen lashing out at his offensive coordinator a couple of weeks ago during that Kansas City Chiefs game that the Steelers lost, by the way, and Le'Veon Bell threatening a reporter. So it's just been acting out after acting out here within the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you got to wonder if Le'Veon Bell is the root of the cause of all this, right? Because certainly the Steelers have been one-dimensional so far this season, particularly on that Sunday night game against Baltimore when they had less than, I want to say, 25 yards on the ground. You can't have that when you are playing good teams. So balance is key. Le'Veon Bell obviously will be very much welcomed once he returns during the Week 7 bye week. And to kind of put a bow on this little nugget of news, it's interesting because that Week 7 is actually just before the trade deadline. The trade deadline is October 30th. As you see there, the next game for the Steelers, October 28th against the Cleveland Browns. Just barely before the trade deadline. Interesting timing at that. Maybe Le'Veon Bell really does want to remain with the Pittsburgh Steelers from a long-standing perspective there, right? So, like I said, the trade scenario is still very much a possibility here. Now, could Le'Veon Bell go to the Philadelphia Eagles? Jason La Canfora reported over the weekend that the Eagles are firmly in the mix to acquire one of the top-line running backs in the league. Now, here's why it's interesting. GM Howie Roseman, no stranger to pulling off crazy trades, and this would be just that, crazy. The Eagles, though, are a little dinged up in the secondary. The secondary has been struggling mightily right now. Jalen Mills is struggling. Ronald Darby isn't that good. Corey Graham at safety has been average at best. And there is a bit of a question mark at the running back position as well. Corey Clement, Jay Ajayi have been banged up a little bit as well. But is acquiring Le'Veon Bell the right decision if you're the Philadelphia Eagles? I just think they have more issues, particularly on that defensive backfield, that I think they need to focus on rather than giving up draft capital and perhaps a player for Le'Veon Bell. And oh, by the way, the Philadelphia Eagles don't have much cap space. And like I've said before on this very show, if you want to trade for Le'Veon Bell, you have to get Le'Veon Bell's reassurance that he will re-sign with you in 2019. I'm not so sure Philadelphia can win in a bidding war against the likes of the 49ers, the Colts, the Jets out there, teams with a plethora of salary cap space to play with. So if you're Philadelphia, you're renting this guy in a sense, unless you get the ultimate promise from Bell that, yeah, I am going to re-sign with you and be on your team and play for the Eagles in 2019. I just don't think that is a reality. So in terms of the price tag, the Steelers are hoping for more than a third-round pick because that would likely be the compensatory pick if Bell leaves in 2019. So the baseline is a third-round pick, which means the Steelers are probably looking for a second-round pick along with a player. That is the recent reporting out there. So we'll see if any team out there actually offers that much. There isn't too much buzz out there that teams are really coming to the table in terms of trying to get Le'Veon Bell, at least as we stand. Now, things can change by the trade deadline. Injuries can happen. Teams can really emerge as contenders and the like. So, obviously, this is a very fluid situation. So, should the Eagles trade for Le'Veon Bell? I want you guys voting in the comments section here on Facebook Live as well as YouTube Live. 1 for yes, 2 for no about Le'Veon. All right, let's talk about Le'Veon to the 49ers now. In that same report from Jason La Canfora, the 49ers apparently made an exploratory call about acquiring Le'Veon Bell. Now, this is interesting considering the 49ers have much larger issues as we stand. Much like the Philadelphia Eagles, San Francisco cannot defend the pass right now. They're 22nd against the pass as we stand. Ahkello Witherspoon has been struggling. Adrian Colbert and Jaquiski Tartt at safety have been dinged up. Jimmy Ward has been really bad so far. So the defensive backfield is bad. The offensive line isn't that good in terms of pass protection. And oh, by the way, Jimmy Garoppolo is done for the year. So if you're San Francisco and you're John Lynch, you're probably saying to yourself, we're not going anywhere this year anyway. Why trade our assets and get this guy in Le'Veon Bell? Now, if you are the San Francisco 49ers, maybe you think about 2019 free agency. Maybe in that regard, the 49ers make a run at Le'Veon. But making a trade happen doesn't make a lot of sense for me. With that said, I will go ahead and flash you guys a trade package that, again, I don't think will happen, but this is basically what the 49ers have to give up. Second-round pick, as I talked about. Jimmy Ward, on the final year of his deal, provides some versatility in that defensive backfield for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is struggling, by the way, as well. And then Eric Armstead, who has a couple years left on his contract and is often dinged up. And really, I think he could be expendable as well, could provide some depth there on the defensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, of course, the 49ers get Le'Veon Bell. Again, it ain't going to happen, but that's kind of what you're looking at in terms of a trade package if that were to happen between the Steelers and the San Francisco 49ers. I will say this, if Jimmy Garoppolo was healthy, I think circumstances would be different, and I think maybe San Francisco would be a little more aggressive in terms of trying to get this guy. But once Le'Veon Bell returns to the NFL, his FanDuel pricing is going to be really interesting to watch for, and I think he's going to be uber popular once he does return. But go ahead and sign up, get the head start before Le'Veon returns. FanDuel.com/chatsports is that link. That's how you guys can get some free money, all right? So if you use that link, you sign up, you deposit $5, you get $20 for free. So that's $25 to play with on FanDuel. Get in the game for Week 5 of the NFL. College football, PGA Tour is getting going as well. FanDuel.com/chatsports. Let's talk about Colin Kaepernick. Apparently, there's no interest at all for this guy. Cap's chances of signing have not improved despite Eric Reid now being a member of the Carolina Panthers. Now, Jason La Canfora reported that Kaepernick's team is reaching out to NFL teams out there via text and calls, hopes of getting this free agent quarterback signed. And Kaepernick hasn't played since 2016 when he was with the 49ers, and the 49ers aren't all that interested according to reports either. So this actually stuns me that Eric Reid, who has a collusion case against the National Football League, is now employed by the National Football League, but yet there is no movement in the demand for Colin Kaepernick at a position where there is much more demand these days. The quarterback position, right? You guys know how the safety market was really slow during free agency this year. Teams don't value safeties as much. Definitely not as much as the quarterback position. So this is actually pretty interesting for me. Now, I know I have triggered some 49ers fans out there because I have said before that San Francisco should at least, at the very bare minimum, bring in Colin Kaepernick for a workout, see what this guy can do, and see if he can provide some upside. So, aside from Jimmy Garoppolo, I will say there hasn't been that tragic quarterback injury that warrants Colin Kaepernick coming in and perhaps working out for a team. And I say aside from Garoppolo because C.J. Beathard is at least a capable quarterback. This is not like in Carolina, where if Cam Newton went down, there'd be nothing behind him in terms of upside. And the same can be said for the New England Patriots. If Tom Brady went down, Brian Hoyer is your quarterback, there's no upside there. But even still, Colin Kaepernick could be one of the top backup quarterbacks in this league, and for a team to not give this guy a shot is just stunning to me. Now, you guys may remember a couple of months ago, the Seattle Seahawks were planning on bringing this guy in for a workout, and then things went awry all of a sudden. And that was a situation that happened with Eric Reid as well when he went to Cincinnati and the Bengals brought up the national anthem, and that's when things went awry with Eric Reid. So both Kaepernick and Reid have gone through this process here of perhaps getting a workout, perhaps being signed, and then ultimately not getting signed. The difference is, of course, Eric Reid is now employed. Colin Kaepernick is not. But it all goes back to this Mike Freeman piece on Bleacher Report that came out a couple of months ago, which describes a tense and scared group of NFL owners who fear criticism of President Trump. That's what it comes down to, because here it is. It's a domino effect, right? Criticism from Trump fires up his base, and we're talking about if Kaepernick is signed and Trump goes out there and tweets and all of this stuff, the base gets fired up, many of whom you would assume are NFL fans, and those people could eventually boycott the NFL, so side with Trump over the NFL. Sponsors could flee, perhaps go to the NBA, for example, which is thriving right now, LeBron James, shout out, and the owners ultimately see their wallets flattened. So it's a domino effect here in terms of the potentiality for Colin Kaepernick to sign with a team, and Donald Trump is at the center of it. Now, with that said, with this whole Brett Kavanaugh thing going on, by the way, it's actually a good time for a team to sign Colin Kaepernick because I think the president is a little busy as we stand. I don't think he'd be tweeting about the NFL. That's just a guess from me, but I could be wrong. So my producer, Harris Rubenstein, agrees with me. I think now is a good time to sign Colin Kaepernick because the president has to deal with this whole FBI investigation. But I digress. There is no interest in Colin Kaepernick as we stand, ladies and gentlemen. But what I will ask you guys is this. If you are an NFL coach out there, go ahead, pretend, take a few seconds. Are you at least bringing in Colin Kaepernick for a workout of sorts, for a meeting, for some sort of dialogue? I want you guys to really think about this question here, and then go ahead and comment away on YouTube and Facebook because it's an interesting thought. You guys saw the 49ers last week. C.J. Beathard looked capable, so I'll give him that. But if Beathard continues to, shall we say, not look as good, then maybe there is an argument to be made that Colin Kaepernick should be brought in. And I'm talking about from an entertainment standpoint. Do you want to watch C.J. Beathard play quarterback or Colin Kaepernick? Who's more exciting at playing the position? It's obvious. It's Colin Kaepernick, and I get it. C.J. Beathard, everybody's coming at me. Yeah, he's just in his second year, and he needs time to develop. Look, he's not going to develop behind a really bad offensive line right now, it seems, and a team that is absolutely dinged up. So it's better for Beathard to actually develop under a veteran quarterback. like Colin Kaepernick, before he actually gets actual NFL reps. And at the end of the day, Beathard is probably a career backup anyway. So, barring any injury, of course, like right now, the guy's going to be a QB2 at best. So, we'll see what happens going forward. You saw the BETDSI odds, by the way, about Colin Kaepernick signing this year. We have a comment flowing in from Louise saying, have no issues with Nike. Love Nike. No advertisement will change my mind on this product. Also love Under Armour. Wholeheartedly agree with you, Louise. I have been Mr. Nike my entire life, and I will not change because Colin Kaepernick was on a cover of the 30th anniversary of the Just Do It campaign. There's just no reason for me to get mad about that. Carlton chiming in, Richard as well. Keep those comments flowing on Facebook Live as well as YouTube Live. Richard saying, people of America will boycott Nike for good reason, and they will lose money just like the NFL did with this dude. All right, well, see, Richard, you're not alone in that camp. A lot of people believe that, so appreciate you chiming in with your thoughts. I think those two comments are perfect examples, folks, of the just divided nature of this Colin Kaepernick national anthem debate out there. So be sure to weigh in and let me know what you guys think, and you'll get a shout out on air. Let's talk about Earl Thomas, because a trade almost went down between the Chiefs and the Seattle Seahawks. Of course, this rumor is a moot point, if you will, because Earl Thomas is done for the year due to a broken leg. And before I get into this whole Chiefs rumor here, let me just say, this is exactly why Earl Thomas wanted an extension. Because he feared that he was going to get some sort of tragic injury. And now the situation is Earl Thomas will get paid his salary for 2018, but now he's going to go into 2019 as a free agent with a much less demand for him, much less salary offer for him because of this injury. I mean, the market is now lessening in a sense. Earl Thomas was having an elite year at the safety position until he got hurt. And so I understand that players sign contracts. TV reporters sign contracts. Other people in the professional world sign contracts. But, for example, TV reporters can't tear their ACL in any given week. An NFL player can. And security for an NFL player means more than, say, bodily injuries perhaps to somebody out there in a different industry. So I get where Earl Thomas is coming from, and I also get what Le'Veon Bell is doing and what he is coming from. That is the argument there. Now, according to Yahoo Sports, there was optimism that a trade was going to go down between the Chiefs and the Seattle Seahawks in regards to Earl Thomas. And the Cowboys basically removed themselves in the late going here, which left Kansas City as that lone pursuer of one of the top-line safeties in the league. Now, it's interesting. Ian Rappaport noted that the Seahawks had recently lowered the asking price of Earl Thomas. You may recall it was originally 2 second-round picks. The Seahawks had recently lowered that to just 1, which is also kind of odd because, well, Earl Thomas's stock was rising rapidly. He was playing fantastic so far this year, so if you're Seattle, you should be heightening the price, right? Because he's playing so well. But anyway, like I said, the leg fracture there for Thomas, really tough to see. He's out for the year. He's going to be a free agent, you would think, in 2019, although the Seattle Seahawks could franchise tag Thomas, which would probably be the worst thing possible. So we'll see what happens going forward. Maybe ET can find some good payout in 2019 despite this injury. We shall see. All right, Jameis Winston, back at it. He's starting Week 6 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Dirk Cutter made the announcement a couple of days ago. The Ryan Fitzpatrick era is over in Tampa Bay, and boy, was that short-lived. And shout out to all you guys, many of you from YouTube, and also my Facebook page, by the way, saying that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should have been in my top 10 NFL power rankings. And I didn't do that because I knew this was coming. I knew it. Ryan Fitzpatrick does this, guys. He gets on this hot streak, and then he falls back to earth. It's called regression to the mean. If you ever took AP Psych, Regression to the mean, all right? So really extreme events happen, usually are followed by the baseline, the average, what you would usually expect. And what you usually expect from Ryan Fitzpatrick is interceptions. And that's what we got against the Pittsburgh Steelers on that Monday night game and against the Chicago Bears. So Jameis Winston is the franchise quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for now. He will start against the Atlanta Falcons, and obviously a crucial game for both teams there. But first, Atlanta takes on Pittsburgh this week. The Bucs are on a bye. I don't know if Jameis Winston is the long-term answer, but here's the deal. Dirk Koetter and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have to figure out if he is. And the only way to do that is to actually play him on the football field. So at this point, it was obviously an easy hook to get Ryan Fitzpatrick out of there and then make Jameis Winston your starting quarterback. Last year's stats are modest at best. There's no doubt about that. Granted, he only played in 13 total games, and he was constantly dealing with that shoulder and AC joint injury there. But Winston has a good chance to play pretty darn well against the Atlanta Falcons in Week 6, a defensive secondary that has a couple of key injuries and just gave up a whole lot of points and yards to the Cincinnati Bengals a week ago. So with that, maybe Jameis Winston can get back on the right track here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are 2-2. We'll see if they can get back on the winning track. We'll see. All right, let's talk about Dez Bryant. Couple of interesting nuggets here. Bryant has been battling panic attacks and depression. He announced on social media. Now, according to reports, people close to Bryant say that he'll be ready to sign later this month. Now, Dez has taken to Twitter many times. He has expressed interest in the New England Patriots. He has expressed interest in the Washington Redskins. Just yesterday, Dez Bryant expressed interest in reuniting with the Dallas Cowboys, saying, quote, "Rather it be the Dallas Cowboys. If not, I'll be ready to play somewhere else." That was Dez quote tweeting somebody asking him where he will sign. Now, here's where we stand. As we know, Dez Bryant turned down a multi-year deal from the Baltimore Ravens. He turned down a one-year deal from the Cleveland Browns. Bryant has been working out twice a day, working on his physical and mental fitness, running hills. He has a catching machine at his house, and he's also getting help for his panic attacks and all that. So maybe that's what he meant when he was on Twitter saying he's just trying to get his mind right, trying to get his body right. And I get that. I mean, all-pro wide receiver, a guy that is in no rush to return to the NFL. He wants to make sure everything is in the right place before he makes this so-called comeback here. So the timeline as we stand is that Dez Bryant is likely to sign with a team within the next couple of weeks. The major question right now is, what teams out there actually want to sign Dez Bryant? We know the teams that Dez Bryant actually wants to sign with, but you got to look at it from the other perspective. What teams actually have the demand for Dez? Perhaps the Browns are willing to renegotiate things. John Dorsey has mentioned it before. I've got them as number 3 on my list. The Ravens don't need him anymore. They seem to be playing pretty well with their wide receivers. The Titans could possibly use him, although Corey Davis looked pretty darn good last week. Taywan Taylor had a big-time reception. Tajay Sharp had a TD as well. The Rams, maybe they're willing to sign just about anybody out there. The Redskins would be an intriguing team because there's the ability there for Dez to play the Dallas Cowboys twice this year. He better hurry up, though, before the schedule continues along. Now, BETDSI has these odds. The field at plus 210, New England at plus 275, there's Seattle, then Dallas at 525. I said, I believe it was last week, don't do it. Don't put any money on Dez Bryant with the Dallas Cowboys. All of a sudden, that number looks pretty darn intriguing. The Houston Texans, of course, at plus 835 there about Dez Bryant. But in the end, I think Dez Bryant is going to be a member of the New England Patriots, and I think it's going to happen within the next couple of weeks here. It has been reported before from a Boston sports radio station, 98.5 The Sports Hub, said that Dez Bryant will sign with the New England Patriots in the month of October. I am smiling because my Patriots fan producer is staring at me with skepticism. But I will say, I have been on this New England Patriot Dez Bryant train for months. And you either hop on or you hop off, folks. And some of you guys out there, particularly on YouTube, are calling it a conspiracy theory. Oh, it's Cam's conspiracy that Dez is going to sign with New England. The Patriots, guys, are 22nd. 22nd in the league in passing yards per game. You tell me that there is not a need out there in Foxborough. Gronk, again, proving that he can't stay healthy. Josh Gordon, we'll see what happens. Julian Edelman is back, but he may have some rust. Obviously, we know that Chris Hogan has a ceiling. Why not bring in Dez Bryant? Because what we are learning, by the way, is teams now have a plan for Rob Gronkowski, and it's to double team him all game long. The Jacksonville Jaguars did it perfectly. And I think Jacksonville gave that blueprint to the rest of the league, the rest of the NFC, and the rest of the AFC, and said, that's how you defend Gronk. So who's the other guy to go out for in terms of a red zone target? Not Edelman. Probably not Josh Gordon. Definitely not Chris Hogan. Cordero Patterson. Don't kid yourself. It's Dez Bryant. So for me, it continues to make sense, and you guys can disagree all you want, and I will give you a firm apology if Dez Bryant signs elsewhere. But if he signs with the New England Patriots, you guys are going to have to say I was right, because I've been saying this for quite some time. All right, so New England, Philadelphia at 2, Cleveland at 3, Arizona at number 4, and then the Washington Redskins check in at number 5 there. But we could have some Dez Bryant news within the next couple of weeks. Stay tuned for that. All right, next up here. Could Todd Bowles be fired? Jay Glazer said Bowles is in danger of losing his job. Now, this is interesting. Now, Jay Glazer, by the way, is usually one of the best insiders out there, so I wholeheartedly trust what he is saying here. The Jets stand at 1-3 and appear to be heading nowhere this year. But Todd Bowles did recently sign an extension with the New York Jets. But the but to that is that, well, we've seen coaches get fired before, even after signing an extension, i.e. Jim Caldwell with the Detroit Lions. So, with that, who knows? But is it Todd Bowles' fault right now that the Jets are offensively inept? That they're trotting out a extremely raw quarterback right now that is not ready to be a starter, who should be holding the clipboard and watching Josh McCown play the quarterback position? It's not Bowles' fault. Well, actually, I guess it kind of could be in a way because he's trotting out Sam Darnold there. But at the same time, I mean, it's a collective decision. It's a collective deal. And just to put all the blame on Todd Bowles would be short-sighted. Now, some teams out there just feel like they need a change, and maybe that's the situation with the Jets. But if I had to lay down somebody to get fired first this year, it probably wouldn't be Todd Bowles. It would probably be Dirk Cutter or Jason Garrett, depending on how the Cowboys or the Buccaneers play this year, respectively. So, Bowles, we'll see what happens going forward. The Jets have a talented defense. I really like the pieces, especially at safety. We'll see what happens with the offense. They got pieces there as well, but the offensive line is just not very good in terms of talent. So, again, things could change by the time Week 8 comes around, as you see on your screen. But Todd Bowles, for now, he's still a member of the Jets staff. All right, let's talk about this really bad stat for Josh Allen. He is on pace to be sacked the most times in NFL history. He has been sacked 18 times through 3.5 games. That sets pace for 82 total sacks. Does anybody out there know who is the most sacked quarterback in NFL history? My producer knows, but he can't answer. That's not allowed. I want you guys to comment away in the comments section. And this is not shocking. Look at the Buffalo offensive line. They lost Cordy Glenn. They lost Richie Incognito. They lost one of their premier centers, Eric Wood. All former starters, all really good offensive linemen a year ago. The only remotely good offensive lineman on the Buffalo Bills right now, Deion Dawkins at right tackle, and he's average at best. So the Buffalo O-line is not doing any favors for Josh Allen. Same deal with Allen as with Sam Darnold. This guy should not be a starting quarterback right now. The only player that is a rookie, that is a quarterback, who should be starting is Baker Mayfield. I think Josh Rosen should still be learning behind Sam Bradford here, but maybe Rosen can prove me wrong. But Josh Allen definitely is not NFL ready. All right, so the answer is David Carr, rookie year against, along with the Houston Texans there. He got sacked a lot. A lot. So maybe Josh Allen can break that number. We'll see. But in terms of FanDuel purposes this week, folks, Josh Allen's pretty cheap. $6,400. He's going up against the Tennessee Titans at home. Now, Josh Allen has been Jekyll and Hyde so far this year on fantasy. He had like 3 points on FanDuel in week 3. Actually, 3.94 as you see on your screen. He had like 37 against the Minnesota Vikings on the road. So you just don't know what you're going to get from Josh Allen because, of course, he is a rookie quarterback who is just not ready. But that said, if you want to save some money on FanDuel this week, particularly at the quarterback position, which I think is always the smart move, the Tennessee Titans are coming off a really emotional game. Emotional victory in overtime against the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. I smell letdown. I think there's an opportunity here for Buffalo to win this game at home and maybe get some leaky defenses there from the Tennessee Titans this week and perhaps some fantasy points for you guys out there. So $6,400 on FanDuel. Go ahead and sign up right now. Use that link, FanDuel.com/ChatSports. Deposit $5 and you're getting $20 for free to play with. So go ahead, get in the game for week 5 of the NFL, college football as well, so much more. Check out the wide array of games that they have out there on FanDuel. FanDuel.com/ChatSports. One final nugget here, Rob Gronkowski. Will he be playing tomorrow night? Because the Patriots take on the Colts on Thursday Night Football. Very much up in the air, but the ankle injury that he suffered during Week 4's duel against the Miami Dolphins is not believed to be serious. Gronk did miss yesterday's practice, so I would watch out for his practice availability today. If he even gets a limited practice, I think that bodes well for his chances, but on the surface, it sounds like New England is going to keep this guy out at least for this week. I think that would be the smart decision in my eyes, especially with Julian Edelman back. You have Josh Gordon on the offensive side as well. There's no need to rush Rob Gronkowski at home against the Indianapolis Colts, a team that has 1 win so far this year. So we'll see what happens there, but be sure to monitor that Rob Gronkowski's status for you fantasy gamers out there.